just the facts, ma'am.
And we are going to talk today about a difficult but challenging and interesting topic, and that is the movement in the United States towards a socialist, Marxist situation. And we specifically wanted to talk with Mayra Addison to get her views, having lived through this in her early life in Argentina and continuing to monitor the situation in Argentina. So welcome again.
Thank you, David. Thank you for having me. This is my country of adoption. I just came to study in the United States, and I loved it so much that this country gave me so many opportunities. And I decided to stay. I got my green card after I had my second child. But I'm a firm believer in the Constitution, the US Constitution, what our founders created for this country. And I thank you so much for trying to keep this webinars going, because people need to know. I'm very disappointed at the way my country of choice is going, because things are just not, it's not just a country that I selected to be. I became a citizen in the early 2000s, I think 2001. It was a different country then, and anything we can do to get our country back, that would be great.
Well, tell us a little bit about because Argentina, I think, is currently considered to be in sort of okay shape, but and many Americans are, of course, familiar with the musical Evita, though she lived a very short time and was apparently quite a controversial character in her real time frame. But the movement was called, I think, Peronist, were his supporters. And how did that compare to what we're dealing with today?
The Peronists came after what we called the infamous decade, the decade of the 30s, where a duly elected president was taken out because of a coup. And we started coup after coup after coup. Peron sort of embodied what many new upcoming media class people were wanting for, just to be disappointed at the end. And Peron was forbidden from coming back to the country after the second re-election. But he came back in the 70s, and in the 70s we saw the resurgence of turmoil. The socialists were trying to come back. There was a combination of a movement in all the Americas, led by Cuba, by the Che Guevara, bringing in guerrillas and terrorists to bring in socialist governments into all of Latin America. We know the history of Chile, we know the history of Argentina, the missing people. And the Peronists learned that through socialist measures, they may convince people to vote for them the first time, but they will not convince them to vote for them the second time. And so we have seen with Cristina Fernandez in her last years of presidency before Macri recently, and now she's vice president, she came back, but in order to sustain the elections for her, she opened the borders, brought in a lot of people from bordering countries, gave them the right to vote. She will also distort the economy by giving women who came from other countries money to have children, and all that created was the incentive for women to have a child and then dump the child in the street. It was $500 per child. A friend of mine has an organization that pick up children from the streets that were left by by those mothers and put them in foster care. And that's all the judicial process to put the children in foster care. So you can see that sometimes um, measures that we see as benefiting certain groups of the less advantages and the poorest end up affecting the whole society in general. What we're seeing with the HR1 that is being passed in Congress is called For the People's Act. Actually, is not for the people, is for the Democrats to get reelected because they will not be, they know they're very scared that they're going to lose the elections in 2021. I think it's the 2022 is the elections for Congress. Things like they call it, they said that when we ask for ID, we are suppressing the vote. I don't think that anybody is complaining because we are suppressing literacy when we ask someone for an ID when they borrow a book from the library. It's what they are doing by letting everybody vote without an ID is actually suppressing the vote of the real citizens because it's diluting the vote of who counts. Not only citizens, they're trying to open the vote with this act to children under 18 years old. I have two very smart kids. It's nothing against my kids, but we all know if we had teenagers in the house, we know that they think that they know everything, but they don't know the consequences of their elections. They don't pay taxes. They have probably few of them have had a job. The original voting age was 21 years old. It was moved mid last century to 18 because people were drafted to fight for your country. If you can fight for your country, of course, you can vote. And it was the age of draft was 18, so it was moved to 18 years old. But we all know that the frontal lobe does not develop until the mid-20s. And by allowing younger people to vote, we are diluting the vote of those who really are part of the economy in this country. So I see a lot of the decisions that the Democrats are doing is just to destroy what our founders have created.
So you're seeing a lot of parallels to the, the difficulties that took place in Argentina over the last century. Of course, Argentina deals right now with currency issues. They deal with inflation. And one of the big discussions today in the economic news is, will a stimulus that's this poorly crafted lead to inflation? And inflation a lot of times is a sign of poor governance.
Actually, yes. Is this if it was just to restore the economy, that would be great. But there are many aspects of the stimulus package that go to other agendas, like the one that Cristina Fernandez had. It's just demagogic agendas. The part of the stimulus that favors school the schools are not going to see that stimulus for 2 or 3 years. Instead, other aspects of the stimulus that favor, for example, that are completely racist, that they favor, they are for giving loans to agribusinesses only if you are minority, Black, or Latino, etc. Whoever is working in the agribusiness now has nothing to do with what their other people did 200 years ago. So I think we might see backlash on that we need to come back to common sense. We need to come back to common sense. And that's what I don't see in politics right now.
Well, thank you so much, Mayra Addison. It has been a great pleasure to have you on our special Just the Facts segment of Saving America, and we hope you'll come back soon.